Hello, a very good morning from Brussels. Again, I'm really sorry we are here again behind the screens, and I hope it is going to change. Please, next slide. Yeah, why are we here? Why are we asking the same questions again? You probably are the ones that had done it before, heard those questions. Why are they relevant, and why are we asking them now? Before I give my answers to the why, maybe I will pause, and as we drink the coffee, I will ask you to stay here for 15 seconds and offer yourself a question of why. Why are we re-asking it? Write it down in your head or on a piece of paper, and then I will give my answers on the why. Okay, next slide, please. Right, so the basic answer to the why is that the full application of the leader method is the basis of its added value. Why is the added value, even if it is not the question of our working group, an implicit major consideration? As you see here, this is the graph that was produced by the evaluation network back in 2018, where the application of the method is the source of the added value. The added value of leader is very important because leader creates an additional level of governance and the cost, and we need to show much better what we are doing in terms of the added value that is created by this additional source. We are having it, I have no doubt about it, but we need to show it better and we need to be better aware of it. The added value is shown here in three major aspects, which is the creation of social capital, the networks and the relations between people, that the members of the LAGs, and the trust that is generated. And we know very well from the social science and economics that it translates into very tangible things, such as the transaction cost, the level of contractual arrangement, the willingness to take risks, economic risk, and the willingness to innovate. So the social capital that we are creating in our works, of course, as we will discuss today, it comes directly from the principles. It comes from the principle of partnership, is one of the added value, so we can see the link. And that's why there is the principles are important. The next part of added value is the improved local governance. The additional level of governance that is created by leader generates concrete benefits to rural citizens by creating links in the territory, by better communication, by animation, by showing transparency, by inclusiveness, and many other things that are also underpinned from in the principles. And we will be talking about them today. And last but not least, and that's for me very, very important, is that the projects that are actually financed through the leader have enhanced results compared to non-leader delivery. And that is also related to the principles, where some projects are innovative, not all, of course, at the local level. Some are underpinned by by animation. They wouldn't have taken place without the active work of local action groups. Others are underpinned by cooperation. Others are maybe more sustainable because of links between people. And there are many other aspects why these projects are better, and we are looking for that. There are now, in the current period, there are about 100,000 of projects, operations that are financed by 2,800 local action groups. So the aspect of the enhanced results is very important. But it all comes from the full application of the leader method. We also had a recent evaluation where we show, on the study of leader impact on the balanced territorial development, where one of the conclusions was that the basis of good results is the full application of the leader method, all the 7 principles. And there is no one that is more important than others. So that is basically the major why, the first why that is offered here, and it kind of structures our thinking as to why. Now, next slide, please. The second why is that the major, for the CAP strategic plans after 2023, it is the major principles of the CLLD method are described in the legislation. And this is the article where they are mentioned, and they are applicable to all the LAGs. And we are looking, when we are looking at the CAP plans, we are looking specifically at each of those principles, how they are transferred into the CAP plans. Of course, this is very general. This is just the beginning of the process. There are many other aspects of this process behind, but it starts from the CAP plan. And they are listed and they are binding for the local action groups. It means focused on sub-regional areas, led by local action groups that are composed of representatives of public and private social economic interests, carried through strategies, supportive of networking, innovative features in the local context, and cooperation with other territorial aspects. So this is our basis. I have a few more whys on the next slide. So the why and the because is, even those features, the 7 features of leader have been in place and they have been unchanged for the last 30 years, their implementation is quite mixed. We had a very big piece of work done in the previous ENRD network in 2017, where the data showed that the application is quite mixed. And we are talking here on the application of those principles by the whole population of local action groups. Let's keep in mind 2,800 local action groups in the EU and how they apply it. Why? A few more. Because we are starting the new programming period from 2023, and there the new people, the young, hopefully also young people, will enter the leader world and the new local action groups. But there are also some local action groups that have been in this quite long, and they might be in danger of institutionalization. How do we keep innovation, for example, in the local level, fresh and the partnership open for many years? It's not easy sometimes not to be complacent. So there are those questions as well. And I have to say, when I looked back, as I arrived to this job only 1 year ago, of course, I looked back at what the leader community itself was doing. And I've noticed that the leader community also sometimes ask these questions themselves, like there were events like Leader Reloaded or going back to the roots. These themes have been in place in the last couple of years. Of course, there's also the new policy context, the CAP plans that we have been now analyzing in the last 2 months. New challenges to rural areas, which I think give new opportunities for leader, where new ideas are necessary. Animation is more important, such as digitalization, Green Deal. And I have to say today, it's not yet even written, but we all know that the Ukrainian crisis will also put new, or is already putting new challenges where on social inclusion and other challenges that the leader could be responding in a very much added value manner. When we look at the CAP plan, and this is one point I wanted to mention, is that we also look at other complementary interventions in the rural areas outside agriculture sector. And it seems that in many member states, LEADER is the main intervention, or sometimes the only intervention. So it's important to focus it on the needs of rural areas, where, or see its place in the whole strategy, not only as a LEADER measure. So many other needs are met by other interventions, whereas LEADER is associated with several needs that are listed, and we want to make sure that it meets those needs. And of course, creates the added value. And finally, maybe a philosophical point, but I think it's very relevant to LEADER, which at the end of the day is about development, it's about movement, it's about change. Because constant questioning of what you do is the basis of development. And I heard it also in Romania in many ways. And I even heard the same questions of redefinitions and how do we redefine ourselves all the time at the recent subcommittee. So these are a few whys. And now let's move to the next slide, which is what? And next slide. And I think our questions are quite simple in relation to each of the principles separately. What does it really mean at each stage of LEADER implementation that a given principle is applied? What does that really, truly, alive mean, authentically means? What exactly happens when it is well applied, and also what happens when it is not applied? By contrast, sometimes our definitions are even more important. And what can be done to ensure that all LAGs apply a given principle well in your member state or in your region? And here I would like to also mention on the whole population of LAGs, the idea that we should try to look at them in the totality. Next slide, please. Yes, I don't give answers. I will be all ears, and I hope we will all learn from each other, because that's the thematic group. I think there's a great power of questions, because questions is where change begins, but also questions create relations. So I hope we will strengthen our relations as well through this exercise. As well, we will also see some change slowly. Thank you so much.